The London Supreme Court has never seen anything like this. Disregard the documentaries on Netflix. What on earth happened is a difficult question to ask when looking back on the Oprah interviews. Now, what happened in courtroom number 7 has destroyed everything you believed to be true about Harry and Meghan's fairy tale romance. Perhaps there was a lie in the Oprah interview, or there have been constant complaints about invasions of privacy. The whole room fell into chaos when renowned investigative journalist Tom Bauer declared two names in front of the court: Trevor Angleson and Operation Cuckoo. Harry sat motionless, his face devoid of expression. With her meticulously crafted facade falling apart in front of everyone, Meghan sobbed as she left the courtroom. Additionally, the British monarchy is currently dealing with its biggest constitutional crisis in modern times. This is not rumors. This isn't rumors from the tabloid. With nothing but indisputable proof, this man has ruined the reputations of politicians and billionaires in his oath-taking testimony. And what he's disclosed about Archie's actual ancestry has the potential to permanently destroy the Sussex brand and erase a line of succession. Are you prepared to find out why this truth has been hidden by Buckingham Palace for almost 10 years? Are you ready to find out what Meghan's forgotten ex-husband Trevor Angleson has to do with the British throne anyway? Get a subscription now. The truth is about to blow up, so hit the like button and don't even try to look away. The killer shows up. 2026 January. There is more than grey in the sky over London. It bears the burden of revelation. The Supreme Court of Justice is crowded, but not for a normal property dispute or a celebrity divorce. They have come to see the most sophisticated lie of the century exposed, or to see the downfall of contemporary royalty. The atmosphere in courtroom number 7 is oppressive. Every seat is occupied by foreign journalists who are waiting with their pens resting over notepads. There is a tangible, almost physical tension. And then he came in. Tom Bauer, with silver hair and razor-sharp eyes. A man without stories to tell. He uses surgical precision to carry out reputations. Bauer is not only admired but also feared in the field of investigative journalism. Everyone in his sights, from media tycoons to dishonest politicians, is aware of one unquestionable fact. Tom Bauer has unquestionable evidence when he testifies in court. He never attacks without ammo. He never points fingers without evidence. However, he is not targeting a disgraced CEO or a financial conglomerate this time. The core of the British royal lineage itself is his target. Examine the section for spectators. Sitting there with his shoulders tense under his dark suit jacket is Prince Harry. He now has a different look in his eyes that used to burn with righteous rage at the press. A man on the verge of learning a truth that will ruin him is suggested by the eerie emptiness. Meghan Markle sits next to him, still projecting a Hollywood gloss. Watch her hands, though. Her knuckles are white from how tightly they hold onto her purse. The poise was carefully maintained. It will soon break completely. The voice of Tom Bauer pierces the courtroom. Devastating, resonant, and deep. He doesn't waste time on bridesmaid dress disputes or family disputes. He aims directly for the jugular. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor's actual ancestry. Everyone in the room shivers when Bauer mentions Trevor Angleson, Meghan's allegedly forgotten ex-husband, and then says, genetic comparison results. Conspiracy theories on the internet are no longer applicable here. One of the most reputable investigative journalists in Britain has provided sworn testimony on this subject. There is a terrifying silence that descends upon the room. The royal legal team can be heard gasping. Harry, the man who gave up everything to keep his small family safe, including his titles and relationships with his father and brother. His soul seems to have been torn from him. His jaw drops open. His eyes enlarge, gazing blankly. Thousands of pieces from his past, including unanswered questions, mysterious absences, and hurried timelines, might have suddenly come together to create a terrifying image in that very moment. Additionally, Meghan's response is the most obvious solution to the chaos. No defiant stare, no firm denial. Rather, there's a total emotional collapse. Her face is streaming with tears. Security personnel are stunned as she suddenly gets up, walks, and nearly runs out of the courtroom. Behind her, the sound of the wooden door slamming sounds like the last punctuation mark in a contemporary Cinderella tale. Why would a renowned journalist like Tom Bauer decide to reveal everything at this precise moment? What does he possess that has the power to completely upend a dynasty? The file that transforms everything is Operation Cuckoo. You must comprehend Bauer as a man in order to appreciate the testimony's devastating impact. Tom Bauer is not a basement-based blogger who develops theories. He is a seasoned investigative journalist for the BBC and a retired lawyer who has spent decades dismantling people who think they are untouchable. His list of victims is a veritable who's who of authority. Corporate titans, dishonest politicians, and billionaire media owners. Everyone believed they were secure. Bauer operates on the principle of one steel cold, as each of them discovered. He never launches a strike without sufficient ammunition to ensure complete devastation. The world was shocked by Bauer's revelations about Meghan when he wrote Revenge in 2022. However, what he is disclosing in this courtroom in London goes far beyond that. Bauer is subjected to intense cross-examination by Meghan's formidable legal team, but he maintains an uncanny composure. He doesn't make emotional guesses. Rather, he requests that a complicated diagram be shown on the enormous screen in the courtroom by the court clerk. It is a chronology of Meghan Markle's life between 2013 and 2018, which he refers to as the record of overlaps. Bauer starts carefully and methodically removing each layer. He delves deeply into 2013, the year Meghan and film producer Trevor Engelson finalized their divorce. As per the official narrative that the Sussexes have consistently propagated, Meghan became a self-sufficient, independent woman who broke all ties to her past in order to pursue royal love. Bauer, however, depicts a very different reality. He claims that Meghan and Trevor's relationship never really ended based on hotel records, confirmed phone logs, and testimony from former employees. The entire space leans forward. It's not innuendo here. This evidence is documented. As Bauer explains what he found to the court, his voice stays steady. Meghan's relationship with Harry was marred by the shadow of Trevor Engelson. While filming Suits in Toronto, Meghan experienced unexplained lapses in her schedule between July 2016, when she first met Harry, and their public engagement announcement. Bauer's evidence suggests that these gaps coincide strangely with one individual's unreported travels, Trevor Engelson. The temperature in the courtroom appears to drop a few degrees. Bauer's description of his source network is what genuinely chills everyone in attendance. He discloses that he was able to gain access to the gatekeepers of Kensington Palace, who were longtime servants who watched events from behind the palace's velvet curtains. Due to their allegiance to the crown, these people remained silent for almost 10 years. However, given the overwhelming evidence and the turmoil surrounding the Sussexes, they decided to talk to Bauer. Consider what that implies. Those who have devoted their lives to safeguarding royal secrets, palace insiders, have spoken out. What they saw was too important to be buried, so they broke centuries' worth of protocol. Bauer contends that skepticism regarding Archie's paternity is based on logic rather than malice. The world in the courtroom cannot overlook the devastating questions he raises. Why does Archie's birth story seem to be so cloaked in mystery? Why, in defiance of centuries-old custom, did the renowned royal physicians decline to sign the conventional birth certificate? Most importantly, why did Meghan insist on making changes to her son's birth certificate only a few months after his birth? These questions are not rhetorical. They form the cornerstone of Bauer's argument. He doesn't merely reveal Meghan, though. Inadvertently, he undermines Harry's judgment. Harry is portrayed by Bauer as a puppet in a masterfully staged play in which promises of unending love were exchanged for bloodline truths. According to Bauer, he has copies of internal reports from royal security forces told to keep an eye on Meghan's relationships prior to the wedding. Bauer says these reports raise several concerns regarding the unwanted presence of former people in Meghan's life just before her royal wedding. This testimony's weight is not derived from its volume. It comes from someone who possesses unquestionable truth and exudes quiet confidence. Bauer gives Harry a direct look and says something that will always haunt the prince. The truth is not someone's property. It just exists, and my task is to extract it from the shadowy cellar where it has been hidden. London as a whole recognizes at that point that this is not a family quarrel anymore. This is a purge from the past. Moreover, the key to Pandora's box is in Tom Bower's hands. The British royal family has been frantically attempting to keep the box locked. Trevor's relationship. Hollywood's lost gem. Trevor, why? What is the relationship between the British line of succession and a Hollywood film producer? Millions of people have these questions. Tom Bower's responses will make you uncomfortable. Bower does not refer to Meghan as a media victim. According to the evidence, he refers to her as a master strategist. Not all ex-husbands can be written off and forgotten, like Trevor Engelson. He was Meghan's support system for almost 10 years. She went from being a struggling supporting actress trying to establish herself to becoming well known for wearing suits. Trevor is the one who has all the memories, is aware of every habit, and comprehends every goal. More than anything, he understands the murkiest facets of Meghan's strategic ascent to power. Aspects that Prince Harry may not have fully understood during his infatuation. Tom Bower asked a question in court that caused the whole room to tremble. Did Meghan, a cunning woman, really cut her lifeline when she wasn't certain she had a firm hold on the new island she was securing herself to? Bower described what he called unusual communication patterns based on investigative evidence. Meghan is said to have had a complicated relationship with Trevor behind the scenes between 2016 and early 2017, when she was engrossed in romantic moments with Harry under paparazzi flashes. According to Bower, Meghan used high-level encrypted messaging apps and anonymous email accounts. Why? To talk about business prospects in Hollywood or to keep a safe exit plan in case her dream of becoming a royal was dashed. The core of Bower's testimony, however, is what he refers to as the genetic timeline. This argument is brutal, but it also makes terrible sense. Bower wonders why Meghan forced Harry to attend the wedding at such an odd, almost frantic, speed. When the palace hadn't put much pressure on them yet and their love was still burning brightly, why the desperate haste to get married? Bower's response in court felt like a knife to Harry's chest. The end of 2018 saw the discovery of this biological fact. Meghan would have been in a precarious situation, according to Bower, if she had gotten pregnant when her relationship with Trevor was still complicated and hadn't been fully broken off. On one side was Trevor, the ex-partner who had lost all prestige and influence. Harry, on the other hand, was the ticket that would take her to the highest level of wealth and fame in the world. Meghan's decision, according to Bower, wasn't motivated by her heart. Power rankings were used to determine which course would yield the greatest benefit. It's not a conventional affair. This goes right to the heart of the Succession Act. The child has no royal blood at all if Bower's assertion that Archie is descended from Trevor Engelson rather than Harry is accurate. None. Accordingly, Archie's inclusion in the line of succession would be a serious constitutional violation and amount to national fraud. This was a painful psychological dissection, as Tom Bower put it. He maintained that, contrary to what they claimed in their Netflix series and Oprah interview, racism and privacy concerns had nothing to do with the entire Megxit event in 2020, when Harry and Meghan abruptly quit their royal duties. As the child grew up and displayed physical characteristics that were completely unlike Harry's, Bower maintains that it was an escape, a last-ditch effort to free Archie from the authority of royal physicians and avoid the stringent DNA testing that the palace would surely demand. Take a look at Harry during the courtroom. To preserve what he claimed was family privacy, the man reportedly broke the heart of his late grandmother, publicly chastised his father, and abandoned his homeland. He was unaware that he might be defending a genetic deception. Tom Bower ended this section with a question that hung in the air, causing the courtroom to go into a sour silence. For what reason? Did Meghan take such drastic measures to relocate Harry and the child to California, where privacy laws would serve as the strongest barrier to hide this deception, when rumors emerged about Archie's bloodline inside the palace walls? Trevor Engleson's ghost has vanished from the past. The Sussex future is being torn apart by it. Silence turned into complicity, and the palace knew it. Many people assume that Buckingham Palace is always unresponsive to scandals, which is a critical error. The truth, in Tom Bower's opinion, is entirely different. Bloodline rules were never allowed to be compromised during the reign of the late Queen Elizabeth II, a woman who devoted her life to upholding the sanctity of the crown. In court, Bauer made a startling remark that caused the gallery to gasp. The palace wasn't gullible. A covert genetic testing procedure was quietly initiated behind the thick stone walls of Buckingham Palace as soon as Archie was born at Portland Hospital in May 2019, while everyone else celebrated the Sussex family's joy. Although Bauer called it a routine health check, its real function was essential to the survival of the monarchy. So, where is that test's current result? It has never been used, according to sources close to the gatekeepers at Bauer's palace. It was kept inside the palace's wine cellar in a special safe that was sealed. A place where the only family members with access keys are those with the highest rank. Why keep it hidden is probably the question on your mind. Why wasn't it disclosed back in 2019 when the truth could have been controlled if the results indicate that Archie is not descended from Windsor? Tom Bauer provided a vicious justification based on political survival. Imagine an empire collapsing. The devastating scandal involving Prince Andrew and his ties to Jeffrey Epstein had already left the British royal family reeling in 2019. The legitimacy of the monarchy would be dashed if another fraud was discovered, this time involving paternity within the direct line of succession. In order to preserve the institution's existence, King Charles, who was still Prince of Wales at the time, and Prince William had to decide whether to tell the truth and risk the public's trust in the monarchy collapsing or to keep quiet. They went with the second choice. They went with quiet. However, Bauer describes this compassion and conservatism as creating a media monster. The silence of the palace unintentionally provided Meghan Markle with the ideal defense. She realized that the palace would never dare to tell the truth because they were afraid the scandal would be too damaging. And from that safe haven, the counterattacks on the royal family via explosive documentaries and interviews started to happen with devastating efficiency. The most striking detail in Bauer's account, however, relates to Prince Harry himself. Bauer highlights that Harry might be the drama's most tragic victim. According to Bauer, he is imprisoned in a glass cage of lies. Harry fights the world, fights his own family, and gives up everything to keep his wife and kids safe, never realizing that he might be defending a genetic scam that he hasn't been informed about. He trusted in the joy of fatherhood and believed everything Meghan said, even though he might be used as a tool in a cunning power struggle. Bauer's testimony regarding this DNA report goes beyond simple accusations. It's a warning about the hollowness that lies beneath fairy tale stories and elaborate ceremonies. The child who is seventh in line for the throne, Archie, is actually unfamiliar with the Windsor lineage if what he says is accurate. We recognize that the cost of silence the palace has incurred over the years has grown to a massive debt that has the potential to destroy everything, as evidenced by the revelation of this truth in court in January 2026. The quiet that shouts guilt. In the realm of royal dynasties and diplomacy, silence is frequently regarded as invaluable. However, Montecito's silence is no longer ideal following Tom Bauer's shocking testimony regarding paternity. It starts to resemble an unsaid admission. Let's apply logical analysis to the facts. Meghan Markle has never shied away from suing big newspapers for even the most minor invasions of her privacy. She has sued for defamation due to unflattering pictures. For publishing a private letter to her father, she has filed a lawsuit against publications. Nevertheless, she says nothing at all about an accusation that could ruin both her son's future and her entire reputation. Why hasn't Tom Bauer been the target of a defamation lawsuit right away? Why have the names Trevor Engelson and Operation Cuckoo been freely circulated in international media for weeks at a time, despite the Sussex office's extreme sensitivity to rumors? A transparent, open, and independent DNA test would be the only expedient and devastatingly effective way to silence Tom Bauer, who is risking his entire reputation with this testimony. That would be the last attempt to put an end to conspiracy theories forever. However, their choice to withdraw into the shadows raises a serious question, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe the truth just doesn't belong to them, so they can't show that evidence. Consider the consistent approach Meghan has taken to her legal strategy. Aggressive, instantaneous, and powerful force against any perceived transgression. Because it's so out of character, the silence right now is overwhelming. In this whole whirlwind, Harry is the most tragic character. He reportedly lives in total seclusion at his Monte Ito villa, according to close sources. Attempt to imagine yourself in the position of someone who has given their all. Titles, military defense, familial ties to father and brother, and even a sense of patriotism. All for the sake of the woman he adores and the child he considers to be his biological child. He now has to confront the horrifying possibility that all of those sacrifices were made in order to support a highly sophisticated lie. If Archie is not descended from the Windsor family, the repercussions go well beyond emotional distress. In addition to losing his position as seventh in line for the throne and his royal title, the boy would also lose his entire worldview and the identity he has been raised to comprehend. For a child, this would be the cruelest identity theft conceivable. Additionally, Harry would not be able to rejoin the royal family since he would have unintentionally participated in constitutional fraud. There's always a crack in the truth. No real winner will emerge from the battle that Tom Bower has sparked. The British Parliament will have to step in if the genetic documents he mentions are actually presented in more explosive court cases down the road. The drama of a single family is no longer the only issue. National legitimacy is at issue. The truth always finds a way to seep out of this game of royalty, even if it is concealed by American privacy laws or fortified wine cellars. History has repeatedly shown this. Who is in possession of the last card in this game? Is it Tom Bower and his network of dubious palace insiders? Is it the strategies used by Buckingham Palace to defend the monarchy at all costs? Or does Meghan herself have the evidence that could either totally clear her or ruin her forever? Even though the London courtroom story's first session is over, the British monarchy will continue to be affected for many years to come. There is a demand for parliamentary investigations. There is consultation with constitutional experts. It might be necessary to review and possibly revise the line of succession itself. Consider the ramifications. Subpoenaing DNA evidence would be necessary if Parliament were compelled to look into the matter. Trevor Angleson would have to be questioned directly under oath. Meghan's movements, communications, and relationships during the crucial years between 2016 and 2018 would need to be investigated. There would be no more tabloid conjecture about this. The legitimacy of a royal heir would be the subject of an official government investigation. In contemporary British history, the constitutional crisis would be unparalleled. Harry finds the psychological destruction nearly unfathomable. Every happy moment spent with Archie would now be marred by uncertainty. Every picture, every achievement, and every moment of pride as a father could all be based on a lie. The man who sacrificed everything to keep his family safe might find that he was shielding a lie. What about Archie personally? This innocent child becomes the focus of a scandal he did not cause if the truth is as Bower implies. His whole identity, his perception of himself and his origins, would be destroyed. The psychological harm might be severe and long-lasting. And what comes next? The legal process is far from finished. Bower's testimony was only the beginning. He may have more evidence that he hasn't yet disclosed, according to sources close to the case. Documents, communications, perhaps even testimony from Trevor Angleson himself. The Sussex legal team is in a precarious position. They are subject to discovery if they file a defamation lawsuit. This meant that Bower's attorneys could lawfully demand oath-taking testimony, communication logs, and DNA testing. If they don't say anything, the accusations remain uncontested and gain more credibility every day. Buckingham Palace has its own worsening situation. They acknowledge years of concealing fraud if they validate Bower's allegations, which could render Archie's succession invalid. If they reject the allegations without supporting evidence, they run the risk of Bower disclosing information that would implicate them in the fraud. In this case, the British tabloids, who are enjoying their most successful period since Princess Diana's passing, may be the only winners. However, this is an absolute catastrophe for everyone else, including Harry, Meghan, Archie, the royal family, and the monarchy as a whole. Will the truth finally come to light through classified files? Or will it continue to exist as elusive pieces concealed by institutional self-preservation, legal scheming, and layers of power? The queries we need to pose. There are some difficult questions we must ask ourselves as we consider this explosive testimony. Why hasn't Tom Bower been sued into extinction if he is lying or even exaggerating? In a court of law, he testified while under oath. There are serious repercussions for giving false testimony, including perjury charges. Would such a distinguished journalist jeopardize his entire career and possibly his jail time over falsehoods? Why not provide DNA evidence right away to permanently silence critics if Meghan has nothing to conceal? This nightmare would come to an immediate end with a single, straightforward test carried out by impartial laboratories. Either legal strategy or something more concerning is implied by the silence. Why not make public the evidence that the palace actually has an unlocked safe that proves Archie's Windsor ancestry? If the evidence would prove the Sussexes' case and put an end to the rumors, why would it be kept a secret? If Harry is sincere about Archie being his biological son, why does he appear so distraught in those courtroom photos? Why the expression of hauntment? Why can't I look someone in the eye? There are no comfortable answers to these questions. This story has captured the attention of people all over the world, and that's exactly why. The final decision. It might turn out to be the biggest scam in the history of modern monarchy. It started out as a royal romance that was hailed around the world as a contemporary fairy tale. The curtain has been torn away by Tom Bower's testimony, revealing what could be a carefully crafted illusion. There is no denying one thing, regardless of whether you accept Bower's assertions or think they are the ultimate hit piece against the Sussexes. The issues he has brought up will not go away. They will reverberate throughout history, challenging all of our preconceived notions about Harry and Meghan's tale. As Bower stated in court, nobody owns the truth. No amount of public relations campaigns, legal threats, or calculated silence can permanently conceal the fact that it exists. The irony is heartbreaking for Harry, who wished only to shield his family from the intruders he believes killed his mother. It's possible that his attempts to protect his loved ones from scrutiny set the stage for the most explosive kind of scrutiny. For the actress Meghan, who absconded from royalty to establish her own business after becoming a princess. The stakes are very high. Everything Bower has worked so hard to build, her brand, her credibility, her future, will fall apart in an instant if her claims are proven true. For Archie, an innocent child caught in the middle of power struggles and adult deceit. Regardless of what the truth reveals, the future is unpredictable and possibly traumatic. And for the British monarchy, an institution that has withstood centuries of turmoil, scandals, and wars. Its ability to endure in the current era of DNA testing and demands for complete transparency may be determined by this test. We're determined to keep up with this developing drama and stay up to date with any new developments. Whether it comes from court records, DNA evidence, or testimony from whistleblowers, the truth is on the way. Remember to subscribe and enable alerts so you don't miss any updates on what could be the largest royal scandal in contemporary history. Let me hear from you now. Do you think this is a last-ditch effort to destroy the Sussex family, or do you believe Tom Bower's damning testimony? Do you believe Meghan should show DNA evidence right away to appease her detractors? Do you think Harry was the ultimate victim in this situation, or did he know the truth? Leave a comment with your thoughts. Let's talk about what this means for the monarchy's future and whether it can endure if these claims turn out to be accurate. We have only just begun the storm of revelation. Before it's all over, everything we believe to be true about the world's most famous couple might turn out to be a skillfully constructed lie.